Okay, it's good to go. Sound check, mic check, video check, per usual. Let me know this sounds good and that everything looks good. I'll give you guys some shout outs and give you a good old public service announcement, and then we'll get right to it. So just let me know when you guys are watching and I'll give you a shout out. No, it's been a couple of weeks since I was live last, but nonetheless, I'm here now. What's going on, Linda? Hopefully I can get more people watching than Elizabeth Warren has watching in her live streams. She's like, who do we have watching? Skylar and 14 others? Fortnite? Kenny and the gang? Can't make this stuff up, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that video I uploaded. I know a lot of you have said, like, that is so cringy, Mike. I couldn't get through it. It's just so cringy. Good. You're not supposed to enjoy that video. I personally can laugh at it because it shows just how desperate they are. But it's supposed to be cringy. That's the whole point. I mean, could I even make a video like that without them providing the material? All I did was compile it, put it together, splice it up so that you guys can share it with all the people who just want to overlook it otherwise. They're like, I don't see it, Mike. I'm like, okay, well, here's a video compilation of Democrat pandering. So cringy and just out of touch fakeness. Ugh. It does make your skin crawl when you think about it. Like, oh my gosh, Andrew Yang in a freaking choir robe. You could not script that in Hollywood. Someone looking more out of place than Andrew Yang. And that was recent, by the way. That was over the weekend, apparently. Just gross. Anyway, guys. Okay, so 4 left-wing media narratives have been shattered in the month of January. You hear me? Completely shattered. But before we get to those, I want to give you just a random public service announcement. I used to do those a lot last year. I'm going to get back to doing that. This is a good way to kick off a live stream. So the announcement is that there are more cameras on the new iPhone than there were in Epstein's jail cell. That's just what I want to say. Just want to get that out of the way. More cameras were on the new iPhone than they were in Epstein's jail. Yes, we're not going to forget that he didn't kill himself until something gets done by that. That meme is going to live for as long as it needs to until we get back to focusing on stuff that really matters, right? Instead of this, I guess there's an impeachment trial going on this week. I don't know. Don't care, not paying attention, because at the end of all of that circus, Trump is still the president. See, I'm very much a bottom line guy. At the end of the day, he is still your president. Doesn't matter what happens. We don't care about the testimonies. I don't care about Chuck Schumer seeing ghosts and talking to people that aren't there. That was weird. None of that stuff is interesting. It's just not important at the end of the day. Okay, so 4 left-wing media narratives have been completely shattered this month. And I was thinking about it today. I was driving back home and it was a long drive. And I was kind of thinking to myself, like, you know what? A lot of things that they have been trying to pump up in our heads and get us all worked up into a frenzy have just fallen flat. Okay. Narrative number 1 started off with a bang, right? The strikes, the Iran thing. We're going to war with Iran. Hashtag no war with Iran. Trump is trying to start a war with Iran. He didn't go through Congress to retaliate, right? Because if he waited for Congress, we'd all be blown up, right? But they said we're going to war with Iran. Doesn't that feel like it was 6 months ago already? That was like not even 2 weeks ago. That's how fast we moved through media cycles. They moved on from that quickly. Once they saw, damn it, it's not going to be a war. We needed to go to war so that we could blame Trump for going to war. And we could say that he wanted all these people to die. It didn't happen. In fact, Iran stood down. They attacked the base. Nobody died. Yada, yada, yada. But you see how they pumped that up? They tried to spread that fear, try to create that vibration of fear in the American people to start off the year. We didn't go to war with Iran, but silly left-wing protesters still went out in the streets. No war with Iran. They're still doing it, by the way. There's a rally in Daytona Beach, one that I know of, this Saturday, where they're still talking about no war with Iran. What war? These people are protesting ghosts. You're protesting something that does not exist. There is no war. But the media wanted that so badly. That's why they hyped it up. That's why they were talking about it. Breaking news, such and such happened. Soleimani has been killed. Trump took out this leader, and all these politicians, everyone's like standing with Iran. That was really weird. But that narrative just blew up. So they moved on. They pivoted, okay? They went to the next thing. They went to the next narrative. What was the next narrative? It's really been ongoing. Is the whole trade war. Trump's getting us into trade wars with China. He's making a mistake with these tariffs. This was a bad decision by the president. He's reckless. He's hurting our farmers with these tariffs. Only he just signed phase 1 of a landmark trade deal with China. Okay, so that narrative fell apart. They said Trump is ruining jobs. He's ruining the economy. It's hurting everybody in the Midland. They're in the Midwest. They all hate Trump. They're turning their back on Trump. They were going out to Iowa and Kansas and Nebraska and getting all these interviews from these one-off people saying, yeah, I guess I'm going to turn my back on Trump because he turned his back on me with these tariffs. It's really hurting me and blah, blah, blah. That was one narrative. He's hurting farmers. He's hurting people in the Midwest. The other narrative is, oh, Trump is subsidizing farmers. He really is a socialist at heart. He's subsidizing farmers. You know, I'm like, really? Like the people that grow the food, shouldn't they get a little bit of help since they feed the country? You know, it's just dumb. But nonetheless, they wanted there to be a trade war with China. They wanted it ongoing. They wanted America to lose so they could blame Trump. And why? Because of 3 words: Trump derangement syndrome. But that narrative blew up in their face. They wanted it to fail. All these experts, tariffs are a bad idea. Well, what happened? Here's what happened. We have a deal on the table, and they signed phase 1 of it, phase 2 to come, and 3, and however many after that. So that's the second narrative. The third narrative, and this was crazy. This took 2 years to finally come out, right? The truth finally came out. After a lie circled the earth 100 times over, the truth finally came out. And that's this thing with Puerto Rico, okay? Remember that in 2017? The narrative is basically Trump hates Puerto Ricans. He wants them to die and drown. He doesn't care that a hurricane wiped out the island. Trump hates Puerto Ricans. He hopes they drown. He's not sending them aid. He's a monster. Second coming of that guy from Germany. He's a bad person. He won't send Puerto Ricans aid, okay? Well, how come they just found, I think, 2 to 3 warehouses packed full of supplies, water, canned goods, batteries, generators? So what are you saying? You're saying Trump hates Puerto Ricans and he didn't send any aid to Puerto Rico, but they just discovered a bunch of aid that Trump sent to Puerto Rico? That took a long time for the truth to come out. But the narrative at the time was Trump hates Puerto Ricans. He doesn't care. Come to find out, Puerto Rico got more aid for Hurricane Maria than Florida got for Irma and Texas got for Harvey combined, despite the fact that there are more people in Florida and Texas than there are in Puerto Rico. And here's what makes this narrative even more sick. So Kissimmee, Florida, which is not that far from me, apparently has the largest per capita population of Puerto Ricans in the whole country because a lot of people relocated from the island and they settled in Central Florida, Kissimmee, okay? Trump just came to Kissimmee, Florida, and the left put up billboards, propaganda billboards, trying to remind Puerto Ricans here in Florida that Trump doesn't care about them. Trump hates Puerto Ricans. He didn't send you aid. He left you to die because he hates Puerto Ricans. He's just a hateful bigot, right? They put those signs up ahead of, I think it was Mike Pence. Maybe Trump was there, but I know Mike Pence was there. They wanted to remind people that Trump doesn't care about Puerto Ricans. But then all of a sudden, after these earthquakes just hit the island, they found out about all these resources, all this stuff that Orange Man sent down there. So that's just a terrible look, bad look. They got egg on their face there. So that narrative blew up in their face that Trump hates Puerto Ricans, right? But he sent them more aid and they got more money than Texas and Florida did. And those 2 states have more people than Puerto Rico. So I just want to get that out there. So that's narrative number 3. And narrative number 4, the biggest one, and the most recent one, is this Second Amendment rally that just happened in Virginia. Okay, that's been building for months. right? Governor Blackface over there in Virginia talking about, we want to make sure it's not another Charlottesville, just a reckless conflation of people trying to protest tyranny with some random statue getting taken down. And what does that have to do with the Second Amendment? Yes, that was tragic. Somebody lost her life, but she was run over by a car. So what does that have to do with guns in Virginia? Right? But the media hyped it up. They're like, oh my God, this could be Charlottesville 2.0. The left, this is the proof, you guys. The proof is right there. They don't hide it. They want to kickstart a second civil war in this country. And what better way for them to do it than in the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, to get people upset and fearful. They talked about, oh, it's a bunch of white supremacists. They're showing up. They're trying to conflate white supremacy with the Second Amendment. Like if you love protecting yourself, if you believe in protecting yourself from a tyrannical government or someone trying to break in your house, congratulations, you're also a white supremacist. That's what that means, okay? And then they also said, oh, there were 3 white supremacists arrested that were planning on attending this rally and trying to, enact violence against minorities, right? I already knew as soon as that happened, number one, you have to wonder, where did those 3 people come from, okay? Why did they prop them up? 3 people get arrested, and they used it as a straw man to smear all of these patriot groups, these pro-Second Amendment groups, the militias, the 3%ers, the Oath Keepers, anybody who supports the Second Amendment. It was all about painting them with this straw man argument. Oh, look, this is a white supremacy rally. Well, that narrative just blew up in their face, right? Because I believe there were like lots of Black people there, lots of Hispanics there. I wish I had exact numbers. A lot of people of color were there. People, women, a lot of people there, because they're all standing together, united against tyranny, against Governor Blackface and those goons in the government of Virginia that want to tread on the rights of their citizens. So people from all over the country came together, and it was a beautiful thing. But the leftist media, they seem to be upset. Like, despite the threats of violence and white supremacy, nothing happened. They shouldn't they be happy about that? You would think that they would be happy that there was no violence, right? But no, they're not happy. They wanted it to be a civil war. They're like, oh, this is going to kickstart a bunch of violence. Come to find out, a bunch of people toting their guns, and not a single person was arrested. Not to my knowledge, nobody was arrested. It's also interesting that Antifa didn't show up. Where were the counter protesters? Oh, that's right. They only show up and try to attack people who are old in wheelchairs, people who are unarmed, right? That's the only time they'll show up with their faces covered to beat people up, but they won't show up when they know people are strapped. That's interesting, right? You can't make this stuff up. So that's 4 narratives just in the month of January that have been blown up in their face. The left-wing media continues trying to divide the country, trying to start civil conflicts, sow discord, fan the flames of hysteria, try to prop up all this white supremacy. They wanted to scare Black and brown people from going to this rally, making them think, oh my gosh, there's going to be a bunch of white supremacists there. I better not show up. Oh my gosh, it's so scary. And then the opposite happened. Okay, that's really funny. And when you're talking about gun control, no Americans know the damages of gun control better than Black and brown people who live in the inner city, right? That's where gun control has been enacted. And what has happened? All it does is increase the number of people who get shot. That's it. Look at Chicago. Look at Baltimore. Look at these cities. LA. There was just a shooting in Seattle. I thought Seattle was pretty tough on guns. What happened? If you have gun laws in place, why are people getting shot? Could it be that there's no correlation with gun crime going down when you take guns? It's dumb. And I don't know who would voluntarily give their gun away, but in these inner cities where there are Black and brown people primarily, they know that gun laws don't work. Criminals don't turn in their guns. It's never happened. It never will happen. So I said a mouthful there in 15 minutes. I got it all out. I thought it would take me an hour because I usually kind of ramble, but I appreciate all you guys watching. I just had to get that out there, And there's other stuff going on too. I have a list here. There's a couple other things. What else is going on this week? Yeah. Bernie Sanders. Okay, so Project Veritas has just leaked a bunch of damning video about Bernie Sanders and his campaign staffers, which I'm not surprised even the least, because Bernie's always talking about a revolution. He sounds like a freaking Bolshevik. He sounds like, and he's on video. He's on video back in the day singing all these communist songs over in the Soviet Union, talking about bread lines are a good thing, talking about we need a revolution in this country. Bernie Sanders is a freaking communist. So why is anybody surprised that his campaign staffers, these Bernie bros, are to the left of Stalin? They're talking about cities will burn. I don't know if you guys have seen the Project Veritas video, but if you haven't, you need to. There's 3 of them now of people in his staff, field operators, operation, whatever their positions are. People within his campaign are talking about gulags aren't so bad and cities will burn if he doesn't get the nomination. Really creepy stuff. So that's kind of crazy. And there's still been no official statement of Bernie Sanders condemning it. Again, I'm not surprised. Are you? I don't know how you could be surprised if you're paying attention. He is a communist, and it looks like he is now the front runner, which is kind of crazy, but not crazy when you think about Joe Biden, kind of demented, falling apart. Lion Lizzie Warren, she's taking a huge step back. That's why she's playing the gender card now. Oh, he said no woman can be the president, but he's my friend. Why didn't you say it at the time? See, she's fake, man. She's been grifting from the beginning, and it's finally catching up to her. Those donor dollars are drying up. She knows she's not going to get the nomination, so she's swinging for the fences. That's all that is. That is literally all that is. What else? This coronavirus, I'm just now hearing about it. Heard about it a couple of days ago, but apparently cities in China are being quarantined, right? A city in China that has like 11 million people, it's like the size of LA, quarantined because of some virus that attacks your upper respiratory system, and you can get pneumonia that's immune to antibiotics. That's pretty scary. But it's also like the timing of it. I don't know. I'm not all the way there. You guys can put on your tinfoil hats if you want to. I recommend you tune into Alex Jones or somebody and just get a different perspective on it, because it just came out of nowhere. Nobody's ever heard of it before. Coronavirus. I've drinking a lot of Coronas in my day, and I've never gotten a virus. I'm just going to say that, just to keep it a little lighthearted. But apparently 17 people have died, and 3 people in the U.S. have contracted this virus. I don't know if it's airborne, foodborne, what, but they've shut down train stations, airports. You can't travel in and out of some of these cities in China. It's getting crazy. But yeah, I know that yeah, I'll just leave it there. You can do your own research on that, but I wouldn't buy the official narrative. As you know, the left-wing media, I don't trust them. You shouldn't trust them either. There's an official narrative, and then there's the truth. So got to do some digging on that one. What else? Tulsi Gabbard suing Crooked H. Crooked H, who everybody thinks is still going to run. I can see it now. I can see Joe Biden was a placeholder. He's not going to make it. Joe Biden will not make it. It's not going to happen. Even if he somehow limps across the finish line and gets the nomination, he's going to fall apart. Hillary's going to throw her name in the hat. We all know it. That's why she's been making the rounds. That's why she started surfacing. Over the past like 3-4 months, she made it seem like, oh, it's just a book with my daughter, Chelsea. But it's also like she's taking shots at Bernie. She took shots at Tulsi Gabbard, you know, and Tulsi Gabbard rightfully sued her. And there's a hashtag right now. This is also very sad that you have to put a hashtag out there saying Tulsi Gabbard didn't kill herself. That's sad. And what's even more disturbing is that Hillary Clinton won't even come out and denounce it. Everybody points the finger at her and Bill whenever somebody suicides themselves, right? Like shoots themselves in the back of the head a bunch of times and dies, commits suicide, right? Everyone's like, Clinton body count. If that were me and people were saying, oh, Mike's got a body count, I would be making several public statements like, this is not true. These people are crazy. I would never do anything like that. But the Clintons, they're just like, that's funny. They don't even care that people think that they kill people. But that's a side note. So Tulsi suing Hillary. And a lot of people are like, well, a hit dog's going to holler. It's not like Hillary said her by name when she's talking about a Russian asset. Like everybody didn't know who she was talking about. Was she talking about Amy Klobuchar? She said it was a female candidate. Do people automatically think Amy Klobuchar or freaking Elizabeth Warren? All you have to do is use your eyes and brain and know that she's talking about Tulsi Gabbard. She's the only one that was against the Democrat establishment that also happened to be female, that was also anti-war. But they're making it sound like, oh, Tulsi just raised her hand and told on herself. That's what the Hillary supporters say, because they're just that divorced from reality. They think Hillary was cheated out of the election. They still believe it was the Kremlin. It wasn't because Hillary sucked as a candidate and never set foot in Wisconsin and was just terrible on foreign policy and everything else and believed in super late term abortion. It's because Hillary was screwed. She was cheated, guys. Can't make it up. What else? Owen Schroyer got arrested apparently today. I haven't seen the video yet, but a lot of people are talking about it. He was arrested for journalism, essentially. You know, peaceful protesting. I guess he had duct tape over his mouth and a sign that he made to go protest the impeachment trial. And he's going to be spending the night behind bars. So that's horrible. That's scary, right? Because that's a sign of things to come with the First Amendment. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it. Look what happened. Somebody gets arrested, but left-wing protesters never get arrested. And they assault people, they burn cities, they flip cars, they spit on people. Well, I guess they get arrested a lot, but for the most part, it's overlooked and they're allowed to protest, especially if they're peacefully protesting. They never get arrested, and I don't think they should. I'm just saying any conservative that protests, they get arrested, they get scrutinized, they get smeared, they get libeled. And in Owen Schroyer's case, he gets arrested for a second time, by the way. For a second time, he got arrested. So it's crazy stuff, man. But anyway, I wanted to keep this short, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys shared that video I posted yesterday. Look for me to do more of that, honestly. I mean, as long as they're putting cringy stuff out there in the public eye, I'm going to record it. I'm going to compile it up. I'm going to spread it out there so that people can see it, so it can disrupt their pattern of thinking, because a lot of people have these flawed beliefs. But I think that we can kind of correct that by just getting the truth in front of them, right? A belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. So all it is getting the truth in front of them, letting them have that internal dialogue and come into their own conclusions, like I did. Some people say there's no help, there's no hope for them, they're lost causes. It's not true. If that were true, there would be no such thing as the walk away campaign. Am I right? If there's no hope for anybody on the left, then how could there have been a walk away campaign? How could that even be possible? People are waking up by the day, guys, and that's why the left is so scared. That's why the leftist media is putting out all these false narratives like Trump started a war with Iran. He shouldn't be doing this with China. Oh my God, Trump hates Puerto Ricans. Oh my God, the Second Amendment is the second coming of the Civil War, the Third Reich. That's what they're all about, because they're afraid, because the truth is winning, guys. And that's what we should be proud of. This should be happy for. That's what we are fighting for. So God bless you. Thank you for tuning into this very short live stream. I will catch you guys in the next stream, which is hopefully sooner than later. God bless you. Have a good night.